So I just saw the epic conclusion of the critically acclaimed masterpiece known as 50 Shades Freed, and it's easily one of the greatest cinematic experiences I've ever had in my life. Oh boy, how can you not get excited about talking about this movie? I mean, it's got everything. It's got the sex, it's got the most beautiful people on the planet, it's got abs from Jamie Dornan, super jealous of those by the way, and it's possibly got the most memorable story for the most sophisticated viewers of this generation. I think it's possibly everything you can ask for and more. Now take everything what I just said, flip it, and make it into the complete opposite. This franchise has a whole film trilogy within a time span of 3 years, whereas Blade Runner, they have 2 movies and it took them 35 years to do it. Alright, look, all bullshit aside, let's get into the reason why you clicked on this video in the first place. I mean, at least it's better than the second one. The first movie and the third movie, I mean, albeit pretty terrible, but at least they had something going for it. I mean, there was kind of a story, but as the second one, nothing really fucking happens. Except that they date. I know you can argue that the same thing happens within 50 Shades of Grey and 50 Shades Freed, but I'm here to defend on why it kind of has a story, but, wow, I can't believe I just said that. So if you don't want anything spoiled for this God-given gift to mankind, I say watch this video anyway because you shouldn't see this movie. So the story is Anastasia Steele and Christian Grey decide to tie the knot and get married, as it was foreshadowed in the previous film. So 50 Shades Freed starts with both of them reciting their vows and getting married. They go on their honeymoon and random shit is happening when all of a sudden Anastasia's former boss who tried to assault her in the last film is free from jail, I guess. So he wants revenge for supposedly ruining his life. While he's doing that, Anastasia and Christian are still having sex in what sells the movie to begin with. And holy shit, surprise, Anastasia gets pregnant while Christian has to deal with him becoming a father. That's basically the entire plot. I mean, shit plot, I mean, sure, but still a plot nonetheless, which still kind of pissed me off, however. Now let's start from the top since there's just so much to talk about within the story. I mean, out of all the things that really pissed me off about this franchise is probably the soundtrack. Every single entry I felt was made to sell some shitty renditions of older songs and make them all poppy and modern and just put them on an album and just sell it for millions of dollars. Which, I mean, hey, more power to you, but let's be real about what these movies are deep down. They're here to sell an album. It sort of kind of has this Suicide Squad effect where like every scene that kind of helps sell the movie, which in this case it's Anastasia and Christian having sex all the time, whenever those moments happen, that's when the song plays, and then you're like, oh great, another pop song from another pop artist I don't really know or care about. And there was one sequence that really stood out to me the most, and that was the car chase that Anastasia and Christian get involved in. I mean, it was probably one of the most bizarre car chases I've ever seen in my life. Usually car chases in movies, especially when it involves a stalker going after a main character, you kind of assume that there would be some tension-filled music playing to kind of help fit the mood, right? Well, not 50 Shades Freed, I guess. And due to copyright infringements and all that shit, I don't want to violate on YouTube, even for having a second of the song on this video. I'll let you guys search up the song and look up The Wolf by the Spencer Lee Band. And imagine that song playing during a car chase in which a stalker is chasing Anastasia Steele in her car with Christian. I mean, if you're listening to the song, I mean, shit doesn't fit, right? I don't know if it was the editor's choice or the director's choice or possibly the studio's choice in which they need to sell an album to kind of shove the song in there, but it was a pretty awful one at that. Oh, and huge surprise, Anastasia and Christian have sex in the car after she loses her stalker. Oh, and speaking of her stalker, the way they handle that plot line is absolutely abysmal from a writing point of view and a logical point of view. So her assaulter or her former boss tries to go after her because, you know, she apparently ruined his life. So her assaulter or her former boss wants to get back at her because reasons and we need to sell a movie. So he's calling her on all these different phones and then she's like, oh my god, what do you want? And then he's just like, I want to get back at you. You ruined my life. And it eventually leads to him breaking into their $5 million apartment that Anastasia's been staying at with Christian this entire franchise. And he's able to get past all the extra security that Christian hires to keep her safe. I mean, you kind of hired some pretty shitty bodyguards if he was able to get past it, no problem, Christian. I mean, good job on that. And he eventually gets caught by the bodyguards, he gets arrested, and you would think that the bodyguards would kind of vouch for Anna saying, oh yeah, this is the guy that tried to kill Anna the night that he broke into the apartment, like the officials to kind of give them more evidence to work with, right? Let alone, I'm pretty sure the apartment had video cameras set up here and there to watch Anastasia's every single move because, you know, Christian Grey's kind of a creeper. They prove this guy guilty in the court of law, boom, he's put away in jail. that doesn't happen because we need some crazy ass sequence to play out at the end of the movie. Now, the stalker eventually kidnaps Anna's friend that only has like 3 scenes in the entire movie, so you're supposed to care about her, right? And he's calling Anna on this phone that he's been using for quite some time, and he's like, I want $5 million by 2 hours, bitch, and then she's just like, that's technically impossible, I can't do that. The thing about it is that the way that it was executed, it was unintentionally funny. Like, the way that it was, that the whole sequence plays out, I was laughing the entire time. So then it becomes this whole race against time to save her friend all by herself, and I'm just thinking to myself, why don't you just call the cops and have them trace this dude's calls and then have them take care of it? I mean, wouldn't that be the smart-esque thing to do? But no, Anastasia had to go out, save her friend. She shoots the guy in the leg, actually, and then she saves her friend. That's what happens. And I was like, oh my god, all that shit could have been solved if they would just arrest this guy in the last movie. Also, Christian Grey is sort of an asshole still, and Anastasia is still pretty dumb. Why would she marry this guy? And oh god, I'm feeling the jack. Oh god. Fuck, I'm really starting to feel really warm inside my body. Like I was saying, why would she marry this guy? If he gets upset for her not changing her email name from Steele to Grey, and then he barges in and just starts some shit. And it's like, that's some high school problems right there. Like I said, he barges into her workplace office and he's like, why didn't you change your name to Grey? And then she's just like, oh, I was kind of running a business and I kind of have some meetings to do, so there's that. I'm kind of busy. Dude gets upset over an email name. I mean, come on, that's pretty pathetic. I mean, I wonder why that she decides to stay with him. That's a huge mystery throughout the entire movie. And it gets to the point in the movie where he punches her in the red room, and mind you, that probably about 70% of the time, the sex scenes are ignited because of her. I mean, Christian Grey ignited some of the sex scenes in the first one mostly, but in this one, Anastasia is the one that's like, oh, I want to have sex the most. But by the time he tries and do something to her, she's just like, oh no, this isn't love, it's revenge. And I'm just like, oh fuck. You're going down that route, aren't you, Anastasia? And I'm like, okay, well, if you don't like it, Anna, why don't you just fucking leave him? Oh, wait, that's right. I wonder why you decide to stay with him. She does some pretty fucked up shit in the movie. I guess she forgets to have an appointment with Planned Parenthood to get her birth control shot all done up because her previous one expired. And she gets pregnant, and she completely traps Christian Grey. Which, to all my male and female audiences, practice safe sex, don't have a child, learn from my mistakes, because you end up with something like this. Alright, shut up now. Also, there's quite a few plot lines that don't really pay off towards any progression of some characters or the overall story. There's a moment towards like the beginning of the movie where Christian Grey kind of pisses off Anastasia, so for him to make it up to her, he buys her this really, I mean, extremely beautiful home. So they're talking to this real estate lady who's going over the blueprints of the entire property, and she's kind of going all touchy-feely with Christian Grey, and Anastasia, she doesn't like it, like, rightfully so. Christian Grey walks out of the room and makes a couple phone calls, and then Anastasia and the real estate lady, they have a one-on-one, and Anastasia's like, hey, don't touch my man in front of me or I'll fuck you up. And then I was like, okay, awesome. You kind of established that it's going to be kind of a major plot point within the movie that's like, hey, girls still kind of dig Christian Grey, and Anastasia gets a little jealous over that, right? That's like a little character trait that Anastasia has. The scene ends and you don't ever see this real estate lady ever again within the movie. Not until like a second long scene, which I'll get back to very soon. It's like, why would you have a scene that kind of establishes that, oh, Anna gets a little jealous at times? It's not even the slightest bit of interesting. Like I said, to show that girls still kind of dig Christian Grey because he has awesome abs. It's like bland storytelling. And not even that, the whole character trait of Anna getting a little jealous at times, that's never brought up in the movie ever again. You don't see this real estate lady until it gets to Christian Grey's brother. I mean, I guess he had a brother. I mean, I totally forgot he had a brother, actually. Quick note about his brother or friend or whatever. I guess you could have taken this character completely out of the movie. It wouldn't have changed the movie in the slightest because he only had like 2 scenes in each movie. Now you see the brother talking to the same real estate lady just seconds after he proposes to his girlfriend, and then Anastasia kind of sees this and it's like, oh, is he gonna have an affair with this real estate lady while he's engaged? And just like many other plot points in the movie, it was never brought up ever again within the film because it was established earlier on in the movie that Anna was like, if he ever breaks my friend's heart, I'm going to chop his balls off. So it was kind of built up that Anastasia would kind of murder him if he breaks her friend's heart. And again, it was never brought up within the fucking movie. I want to see Anastasia chop some dudes up. I mean, not gonna lie, but I mean, it's kind of weird since this is kind of a porn movie. So, but it'll kind of make it a little bit more interesting, right? If Anastasia just goes completely fucking ballistic on this guy and just does some hostile shit on him. It's a missed opportunity right there, but hey, you know what? Who am I to say? Also, it seems like the director of photography just stopped giving a fuck. And I will admit, the first 50 Shades had some pretty nice framing and composition. Just kind of showed the nice little landscape of Seattle and some nice lighting here and there. But it wasn't until the second movie that they're just like, you know, we're just gonna stop giving a fuck. We don't care how this movie looks. We're just trying to sell an album and show that these two people can have sex, and hopefully that the audience will have sex in the theater too. But 50 Shades Freed solidifies that they just stopped giving a fuck altogether, possibly because it was shot by the same guy. The movie was shot to be something to be released on television. I mean, sad part is, it's already a box office success. I mean, but who am I to say? I'm just some asshole who makes YouTube videos and just says shit on the things I hate. But overall, the film was a masterpiece. I highly recommend it. I say see it in theaters at least 5 times. So what is your favorite 50 Shades movie? Comment down below so you can let me know how much you love this franchise and what's your favorite movie of the entire franchise. Oh god, I'm feeling this alcohol. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Also, to be sure to follow me on every single social media account that I have. I'll leave every link in the description down below, and support me on Patreon, in which you can support this show by just giving us something as little as $1. That would be extremely helpful, and you can see more videos like this in the future. Which, until next time, I will see you guys later, and have a great day. And practice safe sex, because you don't want to have some mutant child like me.